Midcard Mafia!
Welcome to the Midcard Mafia podcast, the wrestling podcast that may not be in the main event, but we're getting heat from stealing time from it. We are, of course, part of the Wrestling Society Network, jam-packed with excellent wrestling content for your consumption. This triple threat match is scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. In this corner, we have the judge, the jury, the executioner of our wrestler's court. It's Aaron P.
I mean, somebody's got to be impartial between, the E-Mark and the AEW guys. So that's where I come in.
It's very true. It's very true. And then, of course, a man who doesn't know the meaning of enhancement talent because he's beaten up on all your favorite wrestlers. It's Mike V.
Hi, guys.
And then, of course, myself, a man who would be a breakout star from the Job Squad, Scott V.
Yes.
All right. Tonight.
To clarify, Scott and I are not related. It just so happens that V is the best Roman number in the alphabet.
Scott the Fifth and Mike the Fifth are here, apparently. All right. Tonight on MCM, we will be breaking down the time WWE worked itself into a work shoot, brother. We'll be talking about Money in the Bank 2011. So lace up your boots, grab your steel chair, and prepare yourself because the bell has rung, the egos are inflated, and this is the Midcard Mafia podcast.
Woo! Boys. Welcome first and foremost to the Wrestling Society Network, Scott and Aaron. I'm so glad to have you guys here. So glad that we can be able to do this show together. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to WSN on all social platforms. Head on over to patreon.com/Wrestling Society Network for more exclusive content that we do here. But this is a brand new show that we're bringing you because we are ready to light it up. That was a theme song, right? Somewhere with something.
Let's light it up.
Yeah, that.
Light it up, light it up, let's light it up.
Exactly what I was talking about.
At least we have a singer in the group, so we're good.
Yeah, he can sing the theme song.
I don't know if that's a great example of me singing. I would not put that as like my tip of the hat of me being a singer. Yeah, the H.A. Lee theme song. Oh, dude's a banger singer. Yeah.
Just a death metalcore screamo version of H.A. Lee running down the ramp.
Anyway.
Well, just a quick little synopsis here of what we're going to be bringing you on the Midcard Mafia. We will be a monthly podcast highlighted here on the WSN pages and platforms because we are doing a lot of things. We're going to bring you some cool historical things that have happened in the world of professional wrestling. We're going to give you some hot takes from the three hottest people that you see on this screen right now. That's us. And hey, that shine's going. That shine's going.
Oh,
last but not least,
blinded by the light.
I thought maybe my daughter came in the room or something. You're talking about, I was like, what's going on?
no, where we are with the light it up. Light it up. Last but not least, obviously, as Scott had mentioned, we're going to be bringing you retro reviews because there's obviously not a ton of those on the internet, so we might as well do one more, right?
I mean, we're old guys. We like old wrestling.
That's right.
That's true.
It's very true.
Indeed, love it. Well, let's start off here with a little bit of this day in pro wrestling history. This day in pro wrestling history, this episode will be coming to you on June 26th. And happening on June 26th in the world of professional wrestling, probably the biggest highlight of them all. 1976, Antonio Inoki, founder of New Japan Pro Wrestling, fought Muhammad Ali in a boxer versus wrestler match in Tokyo, Japan. That match went 15 rounds to a draw after Inoki spent the entire match pretty much laying on his back and kicking Ali in various places throughout his body. And the wrestler was barred from using any throws, suplexes, or submissions during that match. So Antonio Inoki, one of the greatest pro wrestling minds in history,
Absolute
and wrestlers, was not allowed to actually wrestle. And we don't know how bad Muhammad Ali's CTE was at that time. RIP. Next up, we have from the year 2000, Mick Foley was named as the then WWF commissioner. by the one and only Shawn Michaels on WWE Raw from Worcester, Massachusetts. And he immediately came out and set up a triple threat main event to determine the number one contender for the WWF champion between Triple H, the new King of the Ring at the time, Kurt Angle, keep that phrase in mind, and the new WWF champion, The Rock. Wild times. Wild times it was. And rounding off our This Day in Pro Wrestling History, 2016, at a taping for Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha Tres Part 4, definitely got that right, the Lucha Underground World Championship changed hands, not once, boys, but twice. And you're going to understand why as soon as I read these names. So firstly, Prince Puma, who we know as Ricochet today, defeated Johnny Mundo, who you may know as Johnny Nitro, John Morrison, Johnny Impact, Johnny TV. You know all the Johnnies in a title versus career match because Johnny Mundo was on his way back to the WWE, and immediately after the bell rung, Puma dropped the title to Pentagon Dark, you may know him as Pentagon Jr., El Zero Medio, in a loser leaves town match that was made impromptu because Prince Puma was also leaving Lucha Underground for the WWE. And that...
I'm say, yes. I am Lucha Underground fanatic. I've watched every episode multiple times. Amazing production and wrestling.
Great show.
Great show. And just crazy stuff going on there. But this is very on brand with Lucha Underground.
Oh, yeah.
Just booking on the fly. You know, Vince gets the beef for, you know, changing the script at the last minute. Like, they went out to wrestle sometimes, and I'm pretty sure there was no script. It was just decided as they wrestled sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, rounding out our This Day in History, we want to give a special birthday shout out today to Triple H's favorite Evolution member, Mark Jindrak, Matt Stryker, Larry Sharp, and Jackie Fargo.
Fun fact for the retro review that we did when I was doing the watch back, it was fun to see a Matt Stryker backstage segment.
Yeah.
It was one of those times when he was doing WWE backstage and commentary, and he showed up between the dud of the girls match and the dud of the big man match.
Yeah, I mean, they kept him around for a little bit after ECW went down, which, you know, it's great that they at least kept him there. Didn't they fire him over something silly? Like they found like nude pictures of him out there somewhere.
Yeah, he got
there was something silly that was out there, but
also was a commentator on Lucha Underground.
Nice.
I think he's a fairly underrated commentator. I think he just needed to pull back a little bit on some of the, and that might have been Vince too, yelling in his ear at times, but I thought he was a good commentator.
So when we were talking about what we were going to review today, it was Money in the Bank, and it was some King of the Rings, because obviously King of the Ring going on right now. Some good matches going on with that. I feel with the current King of the Ring. Oba's my pick, by the way. But we decided to incorporate a little King of the Ring with doing a Mount Rushmore King and or Queen of the Ring winners.
Would you say this was a hot take, Aaron?
Yeah, it would be. I think there's probably going to be a hot take in there.
Cue the hot take segment.
So we're just going to go around and give out our 4 King and or Queens. Obviously, there haven't been too many Queen of the Rings. I believe there's been 3 to date.
Yes, there's 3 at this time. Yeah.
So, and I'll go ahead and get started since this was kind of my brainchild. I think I would assume the consensus King of the Ring that we should probably all have, and if not, we might want to talk about it. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, it is the start of his Stone Cold 316. That match with Jake the Snake is iconic, hands down. So I think that's a probably a no-brainer. Another one that I had was the Lesnar, because
on my list too.
He won a title shot out of that, and then ended up winning the title out of that. He was one of the first King of the Rings to get the title shot attached to the actual winning of the King of the Ring tournament, which was fun. Another thing that I really like about King of the Ring is when they would then take on the persona of the king and work that into their gimmick.
Yep.
Macho Man did that. Harley Race did that. A number of
Yep.
guys did that over the years. But
King Booker.
the one that I enjoyed the most is King Booker, because it was so over the top with Queen Charmel and that whole skit he did as King Booker. At the time, he obviously was a little bit getting up there in years.
Sure.
And his wrestling, not the WCW Booker T that we knew as Harlem Heat, but he made it fun to watch and just really elevated, I think, the gimmick of King of the Ring. And then my last one is the shout out to Zelina Vega, the first Queen of the Ring. And she took on that queen role in her gimmick afterwards, not to the level of Booker T did or as some of the others did, but I wouldn't have picked her to be the first Queen of the Ring with all the names that are out there. I think they were pushing more of it as a mid-card, which is fine because the mid-card needs something to shoot for. So those are my 4, guys. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's reasonable 4. Getting the first Queen of the Ring in there, I think that makes sense. I'm going to be honest. There's not a queen on my list.
Neither. I think all the queens have valid reasons at the time for why they were chosen for that. But to me, and I don't mean this, by star power, but when I look at that list, it's like there's not like one that's memorable for me enough. Like I remember Zelina winning, but you could have fooled me on the other ones.
Scott, what do you got?
Oh boy! All right. Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously, right? I mean, you want to talk about somebody whose career launched because of that moment when he stepped on that stage with a throne and said, Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass.
Your ass.
Like, that went on T-shirts. That was money being printed immediately.
Absolutely.
To this day.
Absolutely.
To this day.
Yeah, those shirts are still being sold. And really, when you look at like the time frame in which Stone Cold was active, he was only active for like a very short amount of time compared to like a John Cena or like a Ric Flair. But that is just legendary, and that will live in like wrestling lexicon for just ages to come. Yeah. Bret Hart was the second name that I have. He was one of the first few folks to win it. That tournament as a whole was very, very good, although it did have some weirdness with the 15-minute time limit between Tatanka and Lex Luger. Only to then have Bret Hart fight Mr. Perfect in an absolute barn burner, but for 18 minutes. But hey, listen, nobody count time. Don't worry about it. The rules are all done in chalk. Nobody really cares. But no, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who came in and he was just an absolute workhorse. Really kind of put that term on the map. So Bret Hart obviously is on my list. I put Edge on my list. He was the 2001 winner. At the time, I mean, he was still heavily involved with the Edge and Christian tag team, but like that King of the Ring win against Kurt Angle in the finals, who Kurt Angle absolutely was the favorite to win it. I thought that right there kind of helped launch Edge's singles career. Yeah. And would ultimately be the catalyst that would later come down to the Money in the Bank win, and then the opportunist angle, and just the character that became him, and that just was a long-term thing. Now here's the one that I think everyone's gonna be like, okay, what are you talking about, Scott? I have William Regal.
I thought you were going to say Mabel. I thought you were going to say Mabel.
King Mabel? No way, dude. No way.
I'm good with the Regal. That was so much fun.
Yeah, Regal was good. Yeah.
Regal, he was such a comedy character for so long in WWE, and then at that time he was already kind of like the prick GM, right? But once he won that, he was able to show like he's still a very legitimately solid wrestler.
Oh yeah.
And then he just put on this very like nasty heel persona, and I think there was a point where they were going to have a title match between Regal and Cena in London, because he was obviously he's British. And they were hoping to maybe get a little extra viewership from that. And there was a point where they legitimately considered putting the title on Regal because the character was over like Rover, man.
Oh yeah.
So this is again an example of somebody who took that King of the Ring win and just redefined his career from it. So that's my 4.
If it wasn't for the wellness violation, I believe at the time, there's an image floating around there of William Regal holding the World Heavyweight Championship, and I absolutely adore that image because I feel like he would have been just a hell of a World Heavyweight Champion at the time, too, as well. So, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Kudos to him. Well, I won't waste too much time because, Aaron, our lists are almost identical, except for one. So, of course, well, I'll start with this. I started watching wrestling in 2002, and the King of the Ring was the first pay-per-view I saw where Lesnar won that one. Undertaker was my favorite wrestler of all time, so he was champion rolling in there, The Rock coming back. And that Rob Van Dam and Brock Lesnar match, for him to win it was just... it's one of my favorite matches, honestly, because it's just so key, old school psychological wrestling. And Van Dam knew how to tell a story. Lesnar wasn't, I don't want to say green, he was still greenish a little bit. So you could tell where he was carried a lot in that match by that. But yeah, Lesnar, and then going on to face The Rock at SummerSlam. Really the start of Brock Lesnar's career there, youngest world champion at the time. It was just a cool story to tell. Of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin, as you do when you become a wrestling fan later on, for some reason, the spirit of Freddie Blassie and Bruno Sammartino possess you and you just know all this wrestling knowledge. So I obviously went back and saw that. And yeah, I mean, that Austin 316, and my hot take on that is that, to your point, Scott, yes, less of a career lengthwise, but I truly believe him put up against Hogan, put up against Cena, Roman, Cody. Stone Cold Steve Austin is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Agreed.
Ric Flair is my very second close, just because of who Rick is. But man, I mean, the amount of merch he sold, the pops that he got, just who he was and what he defined at that time. And this is where it all started. I thought that was just a great... a great time to be a wrestling fan. Wish I could have been a part of that, but I watched it on VHS at the time. And then, of course, King Booker, because he showed that he could act. And that's the beauty. This is why we love this silly thing we call professional wrestling. It's the characters, it's the over the topness, and that then carried over to the main event Mafia and Black Snow and just like the greatest, like so underrated of a character Booker T is, so much more than what he was, just the spinneroonie and everything. And yeah, that King of the Ring defined it. And my last one is the
King
parallel
Mabel.
to almost do love me some King Mabel. Is the parallel to Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I loved Owen's run there.
Choice.
I mean, just the snarky, just like punk that he was, the character he betrayed. It was a great time to put the King of the Ring on him. One of the greatest wrestlers to never win a world title, and I feel like after that King of the Ring happened, it should have been put on him, but obviously things happen, and here we are. So that's my list.
I think Owen was great because everyone knew the connection, obviously, to Bret, but he was not Bret, and he was definitely not in Bret's shadow per se, because he built his own persona and elevated that persona to get out of Bret's shadow and not just be the guy who's from the Stu Hart dungeon. He was a totally different character. And I think it was a good balance after, because I think he won after Bret.
Yes.
And it was it's not just another Hart winning the King of the Ring. It was a completely different situation. And I agree, also very deserving to have been world champ, but obviously it wasn't in the cards.
He was just a great character. Just as a whole, he had, there isn't many people that could be the heel that he was, that could get under your skin like Owen Hart did. So underrated at the time. And I think obviously now, thanks to AEW, there's a lot more folks that look back at Owen Hart and they see a lot of what he's done, and that's great. Yeah. I'm very thankful for that. But man,
I think a possible moderate hot take is he didn't get the push because of his size. Because we know Vince.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah.
Vince is not going to push him, Daniel Bryan. He doesn't want to push those guys because he doesn't believe the small guys. The Daniels can beat the Goliaths. That shouldn't happen in his world. So I
Or
think
Christian, wink, wink.
right.
Well, I do think the new generation had enough smaller stars, but the problem is that I don't think Vince can get past the Hart name. He's like, I already have a Bret Hart. Why would I need second Bret Hart?
But to your point, he made anything work. Like everything that you gave Owen, he made. Even the blue blazer, he made it work.
Again, not my opinion. I think that's Vince's opinion. I think Owen Hart is the superior Hart, in my opinion.
I don't know. You got that dinosaur behind you, and I'm just seeing flashbacks right now, and I'm getting some PTSD.
Damn it, Mike! Sorry, anyway. I'll try not to get into Vinceisms too much, but no, I think having Owen Hart on your list is amazing. That was a great choice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I thought so myself.
I don't think there was anything like no Mabels. Kind of surprised neither of you guys went the Randy Savage route. I was expecting Randy Savage somewhere there.
I think Randy Savage made King of the Ring more than the King of the Ring made Randy Savage. Yeah. So that was one of my criterias when I was looking at my Mount Rushmore.
Sure.
Was that I wanted who took the most out of the opportunity and made it. And Macho Man was just already kind of, it's like Hulk Hogan winning the Royal Rumble. Who cares? Right. Right? Shall we get into some Money in the Bank action?
Money.
Money.
I'll leave it to the singers there.
So, Money in the Bank 2011, live at Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois, on July 17th of 2011. The live attendance was clocked in at 14,815. The pay-per-view buy rate was about 195,000, which was up from last year's buy rate, which was the inaugural Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2010. The buy rate at that point was 165. I think that's largely due to the CM Punk storyline, but I might be slightly biased on that.
I'm surprised there was 14,000 people, and I'm like, oh, it's in Chicago and it's CM Punk. Duh.
Yeah. And Rosemont, Illinois is like stone throws distance from Chicago. You can take a bus and you're there pretty much. So it's not very
right across the highway from O'Hare Airport.
Right. It's very, very easy to get to. Cage Match rates the show at a very high 9.44, which is surprising because there are some matches on here that are not very great. On commentary, we had the perv Jerry Lawler, Michael Cole in all of his atrocious heel form, and of course, of Booker T.
Now, this is when Booker would have come back from TNA, literally, probably months there, because he had that thing in the Royal Rumble. And then I guess he just went right to commentary.
Yeah, I don't remember him doing too many matches after Rumble. I think it was one of those things where they're like, well, Black Snow is such a great commentator, so let's just put him on commentator.
I mean, he did carry this threesome. He's the only one that I found
I will use the word carry very lightly.
Well, he didn't carry very far, let's put it that way, but
he trudged.
The other two are outrageous, all right?
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll talk about this multiple times throughout the evening. But yeah, the commentary was.
Let's pull the curtain back a little bit. Scott and I watched this together, and the word "what the f is happening" came out multiple times through the commentary.
In the dark match, you had Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov defeating David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy. Of course, still members of the Nexus at this time, but that would not last very much longer. Match 1 was the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match featuring Daniel Bryan, Kane, Sheamus, Sin Cara, which is Triple H's greatest pet project that did not work out. Wade Barrett, Heath Slater, Cody Rhodes during his unprettier days, which was actually pretty cool to see. And then, of course, Justin Gabriel. Unpopular opinion, Wade Barrett's End of Days theme is an absolute banger. I don't
somebody
care.
else. For somebody.
I'll fight anybody on that. Yes, it's not a great fit for Wade Barrett. It's just not. But it's a great theme, though. Popular opinion, heel Michael Cole sucks. This is peak Vince McMahon wanted to bury Daniel Bryan as much as humanly possible. So in multiple points throughout this match, he's calling him geek, pest. Call him a pest,
Nerd.
Cole.
How many times did he call him a pest in
Or a
a
nerd.
5-minute span?
Well, and the hypocrisy was he goes after him, and then later on he goes after Alex Riley as a nerd in the other Money in the Bank, and then late in the whole show they run an anti-bullying campaign.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right.
This was that time where WWE's like, hey, don't be a bully. Just don't watch us be a bully.
Just not us. Us?
Us? No.
No, not us. I forgot they were trying to do something with Justin Gabriel. They were trying.
They were trying. I mean, he was an incredibly athletic superstar, to coin a phrase at the time, but just no personality.
No.
He was a dry individual. And you could only do like the Dean Malenko story so many times, right?
Yeah.
There was an interesting ladder spot where Kane is on the outside after clearing everybody out of the ring. Went to grab a ladder, and Daniel Bryan baseball slides into the ladder to knock him down. Bryan then goes to grab the ladder himself, but Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater then also repeat the spot and baseball slide into the ladder, knocking down Bryan. Sin Cara then tries to repeat the process as Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater are fighting for control of the ladder. However, Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel went whoop, and Sin Cara went whoop.
He shot out of that thing. It's like, oh.
And then, of course, received a ladder to the chest for his troubles.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun little spot. I don't think I've seen that one too much, so that was neat. There was a top rope Spanish fly from Sin Cara onto D-Bry. Not a very common move on WWE back at that point because, that's too much athleticism. We didn't want that on our television.
Should we also say that this is the Mystico version of
It is Mystico, yes.
Yes.
Sin Cara? So
Yeah.
I am not surprised that the wrestling was great. I'm not surprised the wrestling was great. I am surprised of how bad the gimmick was because of it. But
Well,
there we are.
He immediately undermined it by him vibrating in the ring, pointing up while the ring was clear for 20 seconds, which is a very long 20 seconds in a Money in the Bank match, before finally realizing, hey, I probably should get a ladder. Goes down, tries to grab a ladder. Of course, he ends up getting into a bit of a scuffle, which would eventually get him powerbombed through a ladder bridge on the outside by Sheamus, which would have him removed from the match due to injury. This was, of course, a fake injury. He was serving a 30-day suspension after this for violating the wellness policy.
And then they started the whole fake Sin Cara versus Sin Cara Black versus Sin Cara Azul.
Oh, yeah, there was that. We don't talk about the dark times. Common theme of the night, CM Punk chants through dead spots of the match. I was there live, and I could tell you that WWE did a pretty good job of trying to mask those as much as humanly possible, because I can tell you there were way more than what showed up on the broadcast. So they were working overtime to try to stifle that CM Punk shit.
Yeah, they pumped that crowd noise in a lot during this match. You could tell.
Oh yeah. Some cooperation between former members of the OG Nexus and Core. Remember that as Core with 2 R's, because why not? As Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, and Heath Slater fight off Rhodes and Bryan. It looked like Wade was able to convince them to let him go up and grab the briefcase. However, the two thought better of it, and of course, the alliance was short-lived. They dragged him down, beat him up. Later in the match, Wade Barrett and Sheamus use a ladder on Heath Slater, who is on the top rope. It looked like they were trying to scoop him up or lift him up with the ladder. It just didn't look good, and so they ended up just shifting it off so that he would fly off the top rope.
Yeah,
and Kane just did not catch him. There was no catch there.
No,
it looked gnarly.
We both audibly were like, "Oh!" just like that. Oh my gosh, that was a terrible, terrible fall.
It was an oof. Kane then chokeslammed Sheamus onto the ladder bridge. Sheamus set up earlier because, of course, that's how Money in the Bank matches work. Ladder did not break. Ow. That looked painful. Speaking of ladder bridges, later on in the match, there was a ladder bridge for 50 spot from Gabriel onto Kane, which, I mean, looked kind of cool, but the bridge was sort of at the same height as the top rope, so it offered no additional elevation. Maybe like a little extra bounce, but
watching him wobble when he was setting up to launch, and then there was an erect ladder in the middle of the ring, so like the area that he had to do his 450 in was really confined.
Yeah.
Kind of neat to see.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he hit it in such a tight, confining spot, like, that's still really cool. It just didn't come off as cool as it probably should have. It was definitely, like, out of all the other spots in the match, that was one of the more underrated ones because of that. And then, of course, towards the end of the match, lots of fighting at the top of the ladder. Barrett looks like he's going to set up Wasteland onto Daniel Bryan onto the ladder bridge. Bryan fights him off, knocks him off the ladder with a kick or a punch if you're Michael Cole, climbs back up, grabs the ladder, and wins the match, becoming Mr. Money in the Bank on the SmackDown side. This match got an 8.28 cage match rating, and Meltzer rated it 4 stars. I think I have the unpopular opinion that this was the least. This was my least favorite.
I'm right there with you. No, I'm 100% right there with you. I thought that ending was underwhelming the way that Daniel Bryan won, and it's Daniel freaking Bryan. Like, I mean, you could have set up something cool with him getting that, but...
Right winner, weird ending. That's just kind of how that felt to me. What about you, Aaron? What did you think of the match?
It was my favorite of the 2 Money in the Banks. We talked about that earlier yesterday, I think, but... I like the spots. I like the dynamic that got set early on in the Money in the Bank pay-per-views of a bunch of high flyers that can do all the flippies, but then also having the Canes, the Wade Barretts, the Beefcakes, that having a good balance of those two really makes for a fun match, because then you have all the spots. It's not just all high-flying X Division, Ultimate X style match, which I think some of the best, not to get off track, but some of the best Ultimate X matches are when you have like Moose or somebody bigger in that match with them,
right? Totally.
To be that fly swatter, right? The Sheamus powerbomb on Sin Cara was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
that's kind of morbid, but it was a great spot.
I like seeing people get hurt.
I enjoyed the Gabriel 450 because I really he got up on that ladder and it's like he was surfing on top of
yeah.
He caught himself, got the right time, and then as he's flipping, you're like, oh, he's gonna hit oh no, he didn't hit the other ladder. That's pretty cool. So I just, there was some spots in here that I didn't like the ending, but there was definitely some spots in here that I enjoyed more than the spots on the Raw Money in the Bank. There was nothing wrong with the Raw Money in the Bank, and I'll get into that here in a little bit, but I just, for some reason, like this one better. I don't know. I like the guys wrestling in it, I guess, better, maybe. I was more invested in it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
To each of his own, as they say.
Yeah.
To each of his own.
All right, well, speaking of things that would be to each of their own.
Oh,
Mike,
Lord.
Go ahead and tackle the next match for us, please.
Well, I don't know if this was just eternal punishment for me having to even watch this match here. Hey, kids, do you know what a reel is? Because it's a 30-second pretty much video that's going to keep your attention span as a squirrel, and that's exactly what this match was, because WWE did not care about their women's division back then. It was terrible. Jerry Lawler immediately reminds me of why I can't stand old school Jerry Lawler, because he was just being a full creep towards the Bellas the entire time. No idea how there wasn't more HR violations back then. I guess we do now, in hindsight.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, as Santino Marella would say, Kelly. She came in as Divas champ. Completely forgot that she was even a champion. No idea when that happened. No idea how that happened. It happened. And then here comes Nikki in Brie mode. Not yet. Dear God, thank you for saving us from that horrible theme song. They look like they're wrapped in shiny Christmas wrapping paper, and it just distracted me the entire time. Or maybe it was the best part of the whole match. I don't know.
They kind of look like the store elves that stand next to Santa.
Yes.
In the mall.
Yes, exactly that. So, they were doing the Bella things, yada, 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 sexy stuff, blah, blah, blah. Match started. The crowd seemed reasonably into Kelly as champion, so I guess that she was getting some type of popularity back then. Not really sure. Match starts off pretty quick from Kelly. Obviously, it's the typical babyface offense. Quick arm drag, a couple kicks to Nikki's midsection. Nikki spent most of the time being your generic SmackDown versus Raw heel character, hyping the crowd up to just hate her even more. So they get in the corner, and Kelly has Nikki in the corner, and does a hurricanrana, and lets out this screech that sounded like two ferrets fighting in a trash can. It was just like I can't even replicate the sound that came out of her mouth, and the hurricanrana was kind of a botch as well too. So it wasn't anything that was magical. I kind of felt like the match never got out of first gear. There's nothing too much to really say on it. I kind of feel like Vince was just in the back and be like, "You got 4 minutes, do something with it," and there it is. Nikki briefly had some momentum going there towards the end. Crowd was not into it towards the end there. This was definitely the bathroom break. You could definitely tell, and it's sad that it was the bathroom break because it was the second match. So who knows when else people would leave later on during the night. Kelly makes a 2K comeback, quick flurry of offense, K2 finisher, connects to Nikki, and it was a really weird, abrupt kind of like ending because I didn't even realize that she hit the K2. It just like happened so quick, and then it was just 1, 2, 3, and it was over. And I don't know if that was supposed to happen, if that was the planned finish the whole entire time. But yeah, my biggest takeaway from the match, Nikki and Brie looked shiny, and if you blinked, congratulations, you missed 35% of the match. So good on you. It was so good of a match that Cage Match did not even rank it because it was not eligible because it was less than 5 minutes. I think the runtime on it was 4 minutes and 24 seconds altogether with entrances. Meltzer rating was a big old dud. Yeah, that's your second match that we were kind of used to back then with the women. And thank God the Women's Revolution happened. We're getting a lot more women's matches on WWE television, especially NXT now. But I can't really say that this is kind of what paved the way for it because it was just there.
Well, you got to hit rock bottom before you can build up. So
it's true.
Yeah, this is definitely the time where like they didn't have a lot of faith in their divas to have lengthy matches, and so they were lucky to get 4 minutes. There was actually a very good interview from Layla done by CVV. Where she was mentioning there were times where they would get 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Entrances included. So this is sort of what it is, and this is an absolute product of the time for WWE.
And it shows.
I think I was surprised most by the fact that they both had someone in their corner that was
absolutely irrelevant.
Really did nothing. One Brie got a hit on the outside early on in the match. They hit Kelly and Eve came over and the ref stopped Eve, and that was pretty much it. Like there was no other real interaction with the others.
Right. Yeah. No twin magic.
No twin magic. Not them. And what a weird alliance of Kelly and Eve Torres. Here you are thrown together.
It was a beautiful alliance, all right? Beautiful.
The beautiful alliance.
You're right. I forgot. It was the beautiful alliance.
So if you didn't get enough time to use the restroom in the last match, this is the extended version, the overtime bathroom break of the meat show of Mark Henry versus Big Show.
Meat.
Lots of meat, but not in a fun way. This was... maybe a hot take, maybe not a great match. Two really large gentlemen that probably getting past their primes. I really felt like this could have been a Raw or SmackDown match instead of being on a pay-per-view. There was some really weird spots involving the steps. Um, it was just slow. It is exactly what you think of, and that's the thing. Like when I was doing my notes, I said it was a really bad match, but it was about exactly what I was expecting to see when I sat down to watch it. Like seeing enough Mark Henry shows or Mark Henry and Big Show matches, it was right in line with expectation. It just wasn't great. Mark worked over the legs. That's what everybody does in a Big Show match is you work on Big Show's legs. He's a big guy. People used to do the same thing with Giant. It's just what you do against Big Show. And, it was very cookie cutter to just about any other big meat Big Show match.
But Aaron, the circumference of their thighs.
That was mentioned in the video package.
The circumference of their thighs is larger than Michael Cole's head. Did you know that? Was that important to you?
I enjoyed the promo ahead of the match.
Oh yeah, the promo work was great, but the
Mark
match was
Henry's
such
got
a
that
slog.
fire in him, and he's gonna need that fire.
He's gonna need that circumference.
The other thing, you hit on it earlier with all the CM Punk chants, but as Show's coming to the ring, you can audibly hear the crowd, and they're trying to cover it up, but they're not doing a good enough job because you can audibly hear all you guys chanting for Punk because they know exactly what's about to happen in the ring, and they want to skip it to the Punk match.
Yep.
So it was very, very audible. In the end, Mark Henry worked on, and I just felt like the match ended kind of abruptly as well. It seems to be a theme with a lot of these matches where the endings just kind of happen,
Yeah.
Show gets put through the table after it's all said and done. He ends up getting stretchered off. Another thing that happened a lot during this whole show was people, Miz, Sin Cara, Show.
Yeah, lots of stretchers.
A lot of stretchers going, and they couldn't use the stretcher, and it was just a mess.
Well, for Show, they had to bring out like that big old like Zamboni,
yeah,
because obviously Mark Henry does like the sort of that like big. I don't even know what you would call that. Yeah. That splash,
with the
onto the chair onto Big Show's leg. And it, like,
that was a cool spot.
Yeah, I mean the spot was cool, but
he sold it way too much though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. It was one of those weird things where like the match was such a slog, but the ending was still like so out of nowhere. And on top of that, like this did not feel like a fulfilling match to their rivalry whatsoever.
No.
Obviously, like they will have better matches later on in the year. They'll even recreate the spot where they break the ring. I think that's back like at Vengeance.
And there was a spot here that they both came down pretty hard, and the whole ring shook considerably. And I thought, whoa, okay, no, this isn't that time because
that's a half a ton of humanity.
Yeah, no, it was a slugfest, but you got through it. Cage match gave it a 4.63 because it was long enough for them to rate.
It was 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
They base it on a 10-point scale. Under 5, yeah, cool. I'm pretty happy with it. Meltzer gave it 1.25 stars. Seems fine. They didn't do anything. Fair. They didn't do anything overtly botchy or anything like that. It was just a Big Show Mark Henry match. So I really wish that this had been a Raw or a SmackDown match, and we could have gotten a tag team match. Or because you got 2 tag team champions right now.
True. Yeah.
Or a IC title match. I mean, there's other things that could have been on this card. This didn't further. It was just a middle match in their story that could have been told elsewhere, I feel.
I mean, it was trying to promote the mean streak that Mark Henry was starting to form. And he already had done that. I mean, the whole Hall of Pain thing, I think, happened prior to this, right? It was around the ECW title time, I think. But either way, like, this definitely wasn't the launch of the feud that they were hoping for. This was a rough watch. Right afterwards, there was a promo where, of course, Vince McMahon is in the back with John Laryngitis, and
Two purrs, one mic.
2 purrs, 1 mic. There you go. Vince is asked, "Hey, did you re-sign CM Punk?" And Vince sits there and, No, I did not. And if John Cena doesn't win that belt, or keep the belt, there's going to be hell to pay. Cool. Just further, again, giving that little bit of a teaser to the Chicago crowd that is very clearly mostly there for the main event.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a one-match card.
It kind of is. I mean, there's some good stuff, but yes, yeah, I agree. And then there was the other Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, and so then we roll into the Raw Money in the Bank match, which had a fun group, I think. R-Truth, Mysterio, which I found out, didn't know, this was his first Money in the Bank match, which is a fun fact that commentary actually let me on to. Whether we like commentary or not, they told me something I didn't know, so good on them.
Well, half the battle is trying to figure out if they're telling the truth or not.
Well,
there's been a few times where they're like, "Well, this is the first time ever." It's like, it's because you don't want to talk about the previous time.
This arena's packed with 60,000 WWE universe.
It's a 10,000 seater, but sure.
We also had Evan Bourne, also known as Matt Sydal. Yes. The Miz, Kofi Kingston, back in his Kofi days before the New Day, before there was a New Day.
SOS.
Jack Swagger, Alex Riley, which was a fun one. I hadn't seen Alex Riley wrestle in a long, long time.
Alex Riley came out, and I audibly said, "Oh, it's Alex Riley."
And the first one to enter in his Eddie Guerrero fashion was Alberto Del Rio, Mr. Douchebag. I mean,
notable prick.
Notable douchebag Alberto Del Rio.
Yes. So I found it very interesting when everyone started coming to the ring and they grabbed various sized ladders. And I saw the first guy get it. I'm like, okay, that's smart. Bring a ladder into the ring to start the match. Genius. And the next guy comes down, he grabs a ladder. And the next guy comes down and grabs like a step stool. Like it wasn't even a full size ladder.
Yeah, it was R-Truth. He brought in like the step stool.
So funny.
And commentary is like, well, sometimes bringing the smaller ladder is better if it's a weapon because it's easier to wield. It's like, okay, all right, dude, sure.
But Money in the Bank matches are always kind of awkward on jump because you got 8 guys in the ring and either you do the stare down thing, like who's coming for who or whatnot. Well, here, everybody had a weapon and they all turn on the notable douchebag Alberto Del Rio. And that was fun and enjoyable. I fully enjoyed it.
In my notes here, I have Alberto Del Rio gets gangbanged by a bunch of ladders.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's the perfect spot because then it takes him out of the match and you forget about him for the rest of the match. And allows kind of everybody else to do their thing. And then he can come in at the end and obviously we'll get to that. The other things that I found interesting about the whole match was there was a lot of Topa Suicidas and suicide dives through the ropes to the outside. And then you got Evan Bourne, who finds the tallest ladder he can find on the outside, climbs up that thing, turns around, and just does an airborne on top of everybody. And it was phenomenal.
I hate that spot so much because he's just got a bunch of guys going, what's going on? What's going on?
I'm a sucker for that stuff. I am a sucker for that stuff.
I love it and I hate it at the same time. It's just the suspension of disbelief.
It very much is. We talked about this is why we love wrestling is for spots like that. And I'm a huge cruiserweight. Even back in my WCW days, I love the cruiserweights and the luchadors. So any of those spots, I am here for all day long.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Watching Miz get carted off, and then, because we didn't get Sin Cara back, but we did get Miz come back, and he's all hobbling and dragging the leg. A lot of people hate Miz. I get it. He's, an MTV guy that they turned into a wrestler. Is he great at wrestling? Not really. But the guy is the quintessential company man, and he'll do whatever goofy gimmick Vince and or Triple H want him to do. And I think there's something to be said for a company man like that and watching him put in the work that he does.
Oh, for sure.
He's such a good heel. I think that's part of what helps out. Like, he's a very believable and hateable person. I don't think he's a bad wrestler, but he's definitely not an excellent wrestler. He's
got a good promo
wrestler.
game. I mean, there's a reason why everyone thought that Daniel Bryan and his Talking Smack segment was a shoot. He can make you feel emotion.
Right.
Yep. The ending on this also felt very wonky to me. I get it. Alberto comes in. He gets in the ring. He does the unmasking of Ray. Ray covers up. I don't understand. This just happened last week on Raw where Ray gets unmasked and everyone's like, he went how many years in WCW without his mask? Like, we know what he looks like already.
That doesn't
know
count.
his identity.
Yeah, that wasn't WWE, Aaron.
It wasn't WWE. That doesn't count.
That was the inbred promotion down south that no one talks about.
We don't talk about babyface Mysterio. It just it doesn't happen.
Also, speaking of Ray, he is pinned in the corner with a ladder, and then the ladder falls off, and then just picks the ladder up and repins himself back in the corner with the ladder.
Oh yeah, he did do that earlier in the match. Yeah.
So when he unmasks him, he kind of throws him to the next ladder, and he doesn't make it all the way. So then Alberto kind of has to put him on that ladder, but then that ladder tips over into his ladder. I'm pretty sure the ending was he was supposed to put him on that ladder, and then he was supposed to grab the title. But it ends up knocking over his ladder, so then Alberto has to reset up his ladder, climb back up, and grab the title. So the whole ending was a little botchy, but we got there, and you got, unfortunately, but we all knew where this was going with a Del Rio win. He's already upset because he had won the number one contender match before this. He felt like he should have been against John Cena instead of CM Punk, but obviously we're in Chicago, so screw you. It's going to be Punk. And it furthers the story. It was kind of a foregone conclusion, to me at least, who was going to win this thing.
Yo, totally.
I didn't see anybody else there that they were putting in the match that was any real threat. But I think they did a good job of taking Del Rio out early to let the other guys do the match and shine a little bit, and then let him come in at the end and eventually win it. It was fun.
I think that was kind of a good like storytelling in a sense for that time of guy, and like it's weird because he's also acting, I think, half heelish, half face at the time.
Well, when he came out, the crowd kind of cheered him.
They popped, and then they were booing in the match. And then
Chicago cheers heels. I mean, this is definitely at a time where Chicago was bizarro world in WWE's like lexicon, right?
Yeah.
But I do think there was a point where Alberto Del Rio was really over because he before he became the notable douchebag that we know him to be today. He was a very dependable worker. He did solid in-ring work, great character. He was a very hateable character.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think there was elements of that was shown there, but I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, he got some blood too from that ladder fall. He got a little bit on the arm that was just like, oof, was pretty gnarly.
It was rough.
Ultimately, Cage Match gave it 7.48, which seems right, and Meltzer gave it 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah,
I mean, I do think it was the better match, and maybe it was the star power, like to an opposite polarized point of yours, Aaron. Of like, I feel there was more star powers in this match than the other one. I think that both of them are very close, honestly. Like, I think if the SmackDown one would have ended differently, I could have an argument to put it over this one, but I think this one was more entertaining for me.
Yeah, I could see it going both ways. Like I said, I just enjoyed the first one more so than this, but it was a very solid match and definitely elevated. You know, Scott brought up that this was, or someone brought up that this was a one-match card, maybe it was Mike. I think the ladder matches definitely put in their time and effort to help with the cage match ratings on this. It very much ends up going down in history as a one-match card because no one will tell you what the other matches are on this card If we hadn't rewatched it, I wouldn't have known. But I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
Well, the next match I forgot even happened.
Yeah,
Mike had
match
to remind me.
5.
Mike had to
World
remind me.
Heavyweight Championship match between Randy Orton and Christian. Completely forgot this was on the show, to be honest with you. And this was a great feud back then. That's what is just surprising to me. Christian still had that momentum of winning that first world title off of Edge retirement. I don't get why Vince did not get this guy. I mean, he was a champion in TNA. He did great character work, both heel and face in TNA, in my opinion. And he was a star and could have been a bigger star, I feel, in WWE. I love that version of the World Heavyweight Championship that they're using in this, because it was actually a replica belt. Because the old one had got damaged or something along the way,
that's right.
or needed restoned, and it was really cool. It was like a 3D or like a 2D kind of a version of it, so that was pretty awesome. Randy Orton enters this match and just looks like a world heavyweight champion. I mean, like he's got the look. It's that bald Randy era. Weird to see that kind of switch during this feud of Christian being the face, Randy being the heel, and then you flop that around to Randy being the face and Christian being the heel right in the middle of it. But, you know, it was fine. So the match that I totally forgot about starts off with Christian. He targets Orton's head and neck early. Randy does, the famous Randy spots, couple beautiful drop kicks, DDTs, rolling around here and there. I thought it was interesting how... Well, the match begins with Christian bringing a chair in, provoking Randy. So I guess I should preface this by saying that the stipulation to this match was if Randy Orton gets disqualified, Christian would win, become the World Heavyweight Champion. That's normally not the rules, but it was made this way. I think that the crowd really got into it, of the idea of Christian kind of stealing one throughout, especially with a couple counters on the RKO throughout the match. And then Randy just hits that beautiful running power slam on him. And I honestly thought that was going to end the match, like they would do it, just a clean count that way. But, hey, it happens. Yeah. Long story short, it was a great match. They're fighting out on the outside of the ring. And I see the anonymous Raw general manager podium there. And I'm like, why is this here? It's not used at all during the show. It's not used at all. They don't even reference it once. It's just there. So I was like, I forgot that was the whole thing. Hornswoggle was under that mat, or was under the ring for a very, very long time. Crowd starts coming alive during the home stretch of everything, and Christian just gets desperate. And I thought it was just a beautiful, crappy heel performance by Christian there at the end. And he just spits this giant loogie.
Oh, it was huge
on Orton. I mean, that thing was just like in his mouth too. I mean, that was like just 3 gallons of just spit. And rolls down, and Randy does the kind of shaking, kind of like good, angel on my right shoulder, devil on my left. What am I doing? What am I doing here? And he just kicks him in the dick, just right in the dick. Shout out Shinsuke Nakamura. And gets disqualified, loses the match. Christian is your new World Heavyweight Champion, and then Randy just snaps.
Absolutely.
Just
beats the hell out of him.
Beats him. Like, in the words of JR, is just beating him like a government mule. I mean, it was insane. Cage Match gave this a 7.62. Meltzer gave it a 3 3/4 star. Yeah, I mean, pretty much we kind of summed it up. It was a match, and obviously a forgettable one, because I completely forgot that this was on the same card as John Cena versus CM freaking Punk.
Yeah.
Speaking of, it's time for our main event.
All right. WWE Heavyweight title on the line as Mr. Good Guy himself, John Cena, takes on that damn rebel CM Punk. Chicago was absolutely waiting for this moment. I mean, obviously, if you go on YouTube, you can literally find the clip. They waited a very decent amount of time to play his music, and as soon as This Fire Burns popped on, boom, that Chicago crowd was so loud, you could not hear his music. You just couldn't. That room erupted. And then, of course, in the same vein, Cena comes out, and again, the boos are so loud that you can't even hear yourself think. It was such an incredible atmosphere. There was two little kids near me that were wearing Cena gear, and you could literally see the tears forming in their face because their hero is just being absolutely mistreated. And I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Anyway.
As you collected their tears in a bucket and gave it back to them.
Yeah. You'll need this. This is a reminder that your life will never be worth living. Anyway, moving on. Commentary trying very hard to make CM Punk the heel in this match, which is just not working. They're tiptoeing around essentially the anti WWE sentiments that Punk ultimately did in his pipe bomb. There's almost no reference of that. They also try not to point out specifically that CM Punk is from Chicago. They try very hard not to acknowledge that. And they're like, well, I don't understand why this crowd is behind him. He's a rebel. He's clearly just fighting the power. It's like, no,
he's our rebel.
He's Chicago's rebel.
He's our douchebag, as they say in AEW for MJF.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I mean, they try very, very hard to kind of dismantle the story on this, which, of course, most fans were completely not there for. Wrestling felt a little sloppy in places, but again, they were kind of having their little feel-out period for a bit, but otherwise the match was great. Very entertaining. There was great back-and-forth action. Punk hit Cena with a very stiff rising knee strike at one point.
Loved it.
It looked so stiff that WWE was like, run that back.
Yeah, that corner shot, like you see Cena's head like come back to it. And I was like, oh, that connected. That was personal.
There was a little bit of oomph on that one. I'm sure he got a receipt for that one.
I saw that happen, and all I heard in my mind was Excalibur yelling, V-Trigger!
That sounds about right. Attitude adjustment attempt. Punk tries to reverse it and lands on his butt. Cole screams, he landed on his feet!
We both audibly busted out laughing when we saw this because clearly he's got both legs on the ground, on his ass, and just jumps right up. And Cole's like, Punk landed on his feet. You can still see his ass jiggling. What do you mean?
I mean, to be fair, Punk obviously botched it, right? Like, he was supposed to land at his feet. I get it.
Right.
But at some point as a commentator, watch the match before you call the spot. And if it doesn't quite go right, you can say, well, I don't think you got all of it, or something like that, and then you move on. You don't actually create fiction while the reality is very clearly telling you otherwise.
In Vince McMahon's world, anything is real.
Oh, it was so ridiculous. Match hit its final stage as they were trading off on submissions. There was an STF that was reversed into an Anaconda Vice. Vince, who earlier showed himself with John Laryngitis, spelled on purpose, of course, tries to recreate the Montreal Screwjob by having the timekeeper ring the bell while Punk is in a sudden STF. Cena breaks the hold, dives outside, and absolutely obliterates the lover of McMahon's sloppy seconds. Cena walks to Vince and yells at Vince, "Not that way!" Only to dive back in, get hit with the GTS, and a 3 count to a huge pop from the crowd as Cena is your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, this is at a time where Punk's contract was on the verge of expiring, and so the whole point of this whole nonsense was that if Punk won the title, he would leave WWE with it. And Vince was doing everything he could to prevent it, which was unfortunately unsuccessful. However, Vince heads to commentary and yanks the headset, tells them to send out the 2-time domestic abuse champion of the world, Alberto Del Rio. Dorito. I'm going to keep that.
Oh, wow.
Butter Dorito. To cash in his Money in the Bank that he won earlier in the night. Del Rio runs out. Punk catches him with a kick to knock him out. Cole screams, he caught him with a right hand.
He kicked him, and this man said, Punk just punched him in the back of the
Caught him with a right hand. CM Punk, of course, iconically blows a kiss goodbye to Vince as he leaves with the belt.
Most importantly, he leaves through the crowd.
Yes. Very, very important. Yes. Cage Match rated this at a very high 9.63. Meltzer gave this 5 stars. And this, of course, was a very iconic way to end Money in the Bank 2011, which WWE would absolutely butcher this incredible story the next night.
As they do. I.e. Kofi Kingston losing the WWE Championship to Brock Lesnar in 5 seconds. What a match. I mean, and what a crowd. What an atmosphere.
What a crowd.
I can only imagine. Scott, I am so jealous that you were able to witness that live. So when Punk's like going through the crowd, like what's going through your, like, what are you doing? What's going through your mind?
So where I was effectively behind commentary, right where the seat started to become elevated. Where Punk left, he kind of left to the right of me. And you could visibly see most of the crowd begin to shift to the right to try to catch up with CM Punk. And there was quite a bit of folks that was essentially trying to leave the arena with him. Security eventually kind of got involved, and Punk was able to, get his things and get out safely. But Chicago was ready to celebrate. They were absolutely ready to take this thing to the parking lot and absolutely burn this place to the ground. I still get goosebumps even just thinking about it because I've been to many wrestling shows and I've dealt with many different atmospheres, whether it be indie, WWE. I've been to AEW shows, and they're all great.
Really?
I have.
Coming from a E-drone.
I love wrestling. I just happen to have a preference that you don't like. I've never been in an atmosphere that felt quite like that. It was just so incredible.
And I think that just speaks to the time, too, of what was happening. Everyone was just fed up with the product.
Yeah.
TNA was TNA, right? I mean, they were trying, but that was still the little engine that could. I really felt like, because we were talking about this before the show, I was in and out during that time, and the one name that I heard was CM Punk all the time, and I'm like, really? The short, long-haired guy with the lip piercing and tattoos, that straight edge, he did it? And then I didn't realize that Punk had evolved into the character that he was at the time. And really hooked me back for a little bit of that period while he was still there. And I think he did so for a lot. I have a buddy who was not a wrestling fan at all and became a wrestling fan during the 2010s and 2011s because specifically of CM Punk. I think that just speaks to the work that he did. And man, it was such a great story. I wish they just would have capitalized on it after.
Yeah, they let the story down, but 2 points that I want to bring up. One is about the Chicago crowd. At this time in Chicago history, right? We won the Super Bowl in 85, so it's been a long time. Sox hadn't won since 05. Cubs still hadn't won the 16 World Series yet. And this was right after the Blackhawks won their second Stanley Cup. So we had just won a Stanley Cup. We had just won our second Stanley Cup. And Punk is a huge Blackhawks guy. And you have that taste of winning in town that hadn't had that taste in a long time. And now their guy is going to go out there against the system, which Chicago's all about, and put on that show and win that title with the thought of leaving with their title. So I think that really fuels the sentiment of the crowd and why it was just so bananas. And the second point that I wanted to bring up is, unlike you, Mike, I'm a lot older and I started watching wrestling at a lot younger age than you did. I actually saw CM Punk wrestle AJ Styles in the Lafayette, Indiana National Guard Armory for AEW Mid-South in 99, I want to say 98, 99, somewhere in there. Absolute phenomenal match for 20 people.
Yeah.
There was 20 of us there. And it was me and like 10 of my coworkers, and then there was just 10 randoms in the crowd. And watching him work there and then watching him work in this main event, it's just like when AJ came out at the Royal Rumble for me, because I'm a huge AJ guy way back in the day. So seeing those guys that I watched on the indies making it in the big time, for an old guy like me, it doesn't get any better than that. So
Yeah, I think when you take this night and you put it in a capsule and you just look at it on its own, this is an amazing way to end a show, an amazing way for the storyline to end. It's one of the times where, you know, say what you will about Vince. Vince has always been good about showing egg on his face. And this is 100% Vince in his most downtrodden state.
Mhm.
The lead up to this was incredible. The actual ending was incredible. The Chicago crowd was 100% in on it from the very beginning. And so if you just take this night and you treat it individually, it's absolutely incredible. And WWE wasn't really doing stuff like this. They weren't allowing wrestlers to talk about other companies or non-contracted wrestlers. And so, you know, in hindsight, we didn't know at the time. We thought that this was an actual shoot. Later, we would realize, obviously, that, you know, Punk was told, all right, air it. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. And that was incredible for the time. WWE just wasn't doing that kind of stuff. If WWE would have had the forethought to, like, let Punk show up at an ROH event with the WWE title, to let him show up at, like, sporting events holding the title, not immediately try to crown a new champion on their programming, but, like, go, all right, well, Intercontinental title, you're going to be our main guy for now. We don't have a belt, so we need you to kind of step up, and then ultimately try to create storylines where all of a sudden, like, there's this void. And then have maybe like SmackDown sit there and make fun of the other brand, like, well, you guys don't have your world title, but we still do. And, you know, there was so much more that could have been done, but they took the safe route, and that's a shame. But again, if you just take this night and you just bottle it on its own, incredible night. And what a fun atmosphere to be a part of. All right. Well, should we talk about what we're going to tackle next?
Oh, I'm very excited about this.
Well, for our show next month, we will be tackling WCW Bash at the Beach 1996. Raise up them NWO horns, baby.
It's going to be a lot of fun, boys. It's been a while since I watched that through fully. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Also, make sure that you stay tuned to everything happening here on WSN. Again, head on over to patreon.com/Wrestling Society Network, because as Aaron kind of pointed out here, this is what WSN's all about. We love independent wrestling. We understand that independent wrestling is the backbone. There is no WWE. There is no AEW. There's none of the big ones without the indies, and where people can go to hone their craft and really learn the business, and then go to these big times and make a difference like CM Punk did here. And that's what Money in the Bank 2011 was all about, is that dream going. So if you don't know, anytime that you tier on any level at our Patreon, we give back to independent wrestling, whether that's a struggling independent wrestling promotion, independent wrestler, a charity or nonprofit of an independent promotion too as well. Obviously, we have some overhead costs that we need to cover. We're always upfront with that, but the majority of it is given back to independent wrestling. Plus, we have some huge news coming up soon on the WSN Plus app. You're not going to want to miss that. And of course, leave a comment down below on this video whenever and wherever you watched it, because let us know if you want to see these three old guys, well, two old guys and the somewhat getting up there other guy on the bottom, trying to do retro reviews to the best of their ability here. I hope that you enjoyed that. This was Money in the Bank and our inaugural episode of the Midcard Mafia For the one and only Scott V, Aaron P, I am Mike V. We'll see you next time. Join the society.